Hi, folks. You are in for a treat. We have with us today Peggy Hall. Peggy Hall is a warrior that I've been following for quite some time now. She doesn't hold back. She's a force to be reckoned with, and I'm honored that she would be with us and spend some time with us and speak with us on what she's up to and what she's been up to this whole year. more than a year. It's been well over that. And so we are in her company today. Thank you so much, Peggy. Thank you for your time.
I am grateful to be here. It's important that our voices be heard, so I really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to read Peggy's bio for those of you who are not familiar with Peggy and what her background is. So Peggy Hall is the founder of the Healthy American. She's a national leader. Let me start that again. Peggy Hall, founder of the Healthy American, is a national leader in the freedom movement and is dedicated to breathing life back into liberty. Peggy is the former director of teacher education at the University of California, Irvine, has been an educator for over 30 years. She has a bachelor's degree in political science, a master's degree in international relations, and has years of experience as a health educator and community activist. Through her inspiring educational videos, hours of legal research, and online and in-person programs to keep businesses open, to help parents get their kids out of government schools, and to help Americans protect their medical rights, Peggy empowers patriots all across the country, and I would say around the world, to take action to make positive waves of change as we fight back this growing tidal wave of tyranny. Follow Peggy on social media. I will have her links available for you at the bottom of this video once it becomes available. And Peggy, I was wondering if it would be okay with you. I'm going to pull up this beautiful prayer you have online. If you can start us off with a prayer.
Yes, absolutely. This is something I was inspired to write last year when I was in the midst of the heaviness and the despair. And so this is something that encourages me, and I hope it will encourage others. Oh Lord, I long that people might hear the truth. Give me assistance in reaching others with my heart uplifted for grace and wisdom. Guide me to share my views with fullness of truth, clarity of thought, proper expressions, fervency and conviction, guided by your wisdom and light. Keep me conscious of my faults and flaws. Open my heart to hear the sorrows of others, and shine your light of comfort and peace. May no soul be lost to your love. Strengthen me by your spirit. Stand between me and all strife, so I may speak fully and freely and do this work you have called me to do.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
I was wondering, actually, one of the questions I have written down here is, how has faith played a role in strengthening your will and your emotional well-being at this time?
I had a very difficult time a little more than a year ago when all of this hogwash, as I call it, was slopped all over us. And I was teaching, I had 2 part-time teaching jobs, and both of them were for the government, and they told me to stay home and not come back, that there wouldn't be any more school. And they were both with adults, as a matter of fact. One was at a community college, and the other, I was teaching water fitness classes for seniors. And I'm like, why don't their lives matter? Why are they being told that they cannot participate in society when this is something that is actually important for their health? This is something that will keep them healthy. How will staying home and not being social and not being active and not exercising, how in the world could that even be healthy for anyone? Let alone seniors who were using water exercise because they may have had back surgery or a knee replacement, and it was difficult for them to do other kinds of exercise. So I've always been a person who is very focused on fairness. And I know fairness doesn't really exist as I would like it to, but I have a strong sense of what's right and wrong. And I believe that comes from my God-given conscience. And I also have what's called discernment, in that I'm able to detect when something smells fishy. And I just had this knowledge that what was going on wasn't right. And it was very difficult for me in the beginning because I was looking for others that shared my views, and I could only find people on YouTube that actually, I would watch their videos, and my family felt the same way as I did, but my extended family didn't. And I actually lost some lifetime friends, lifelong friends that had a different view on all of this than I did. And they looked at me as though, and this was before I even started the Healthy American, but they thought that I was selfish and uncaring, and I didn't have any social responsibility. And it got so bad that I really had what I would call like a spiritual upheaval. And I thought, I'm crying out in prayer, how can this be, God? How can this type of evil be taking root that people don't see? How can people that I've known all my life be blinded to the truth of this deception? And I was arguing with people on Facebook, trying to share the information and the data and the knowledge. And my husband said, sweetheart, you're a teacher. Why don't you make a video where you explain the laws and what you've uncovered and what you've researched, and put it on YouTube? Because on YouTube, people, like to go to YouTube to learn things. He said, I watch videos on how to fix a clogged sink and all of that, but you're just fighting with people on Facebook. I don't think that's very good. And so I really, really called out to God, like, what do you want me to do here? Should I be silent? I'm losing friends left and right. Am I wrong? And I really had this crisis, and I had so many tears and so much anger and so many emotions that I released. I was throwing pillows and I was punching the pillows, and I was so angry in general that something like this could be going on. And releasing all of those emotions left me very, like I was able to sleep better that night. And I literally woke up the next morning with a renewed sense of faith. And I believe that God is directing me in this effort of bringing forth the light of truth. And I know people are focused on freedom, as am I, but there is no freedom if there is no truth. Truth to me is the highest value, truth of life, truth of our life. Under that, we can find freedom and creativity and productivity and everything else. But if it's based on a lie, it is not, there is no foundation. So for me, I'm a person of faith. I respect all faiths, styles, approaches, faith of your own God-given conscience. I believe that God draws each person to himself and will show and give direction and protection. And I feel very, very compelled to do this work, not because it's for me, because frankly, the way my life is set up, I don't have kids in school. I live in an area that is relatively open. I can go to the grocery stores. I've never worn a mask. I'm never going to. I could be retired and just read a book and walk my dog and watch movies, because personally, my life is such that it's not affected on a daily basis, but I can't be silent. I cannot be silent. I wake up after sleeping 4 or 5 hours because I work so much, and I'm ready to go the next day. I just came from a rally. I was there for a couple hours. Yesterday, I was at a 5-hour rally where I spoke. God blessed me with an abundance of energy and a voice, and I want to use it. So that is where it happens, Taya. And sometimes I fall short because I cross the line, and I might cross the line into anger or resentment or bitterness. I don't mean to do that, but we are all human. These are all human emotions. Anyone who has felt frustrated or angry or depressed or overwhelmed, I have too. I'm with you on that. All emotions are valid. Let's use this energy for a positive, constructive manner. Evil is a destructive force. We need to be a constructive force, a productive force. And that's what I hope to do with my work.
Beautiful. Awesome. And speaking of your work, I wanted to draw attention to your website here, thehealthyamerican.org, because I'll pull up the screen in a moment. It's packed with a lot of information. Can you tell us a little bit more when this was created and for what purpose, and what is it that you're using this platform for right now?
It was almost exactly 1 year ago that I started the Healthy American. I created this video to explain to people that there is no legal authority for you to stay home or your businesses to be closed or for you to wear a mask or do any of these other measures, that these are all guidelines, these are all suggestions, and there's no force of law. A governor does have the authority to call an emergency, and a governor does have the authority to issue executive orders, but that is only for the government, not for private people. So I made a video about this, and I put it on YouTube, and many people started asking me where they could get the information or be linked. So I created the healthyamerican.org website, and it launched almost exactly a year ago today. So I'm so excited to have this interview with you as a really an anniversary of sorts of this work. And over a year, I have been adding videos and articles and letters and documents that will help people learn about their God-given rights and the laws that protect them. It's an encyclopedia, really, of your rights. And then I have information about how your medical rights cannot be trampled on. Your employee rights are something that you can maintain and do not have to, have those taken away. And then businesses have the right to stay open, and children have the right to go to school without wearing a mask or be 6 feet apart or sit behind plexiglass. So the information is there. There's a lot to dig through. I recommend starting under Get Help. And another great page is Documents. And I have videos there where I summarize why private businesses can't discriminate against you, why you have the right to get medical care without undergoing a COVID test. And then there's also a page under on vaccines, which also states that no company can require you to get a vaccine as a condition of employment. No school can require a COVID vaccine. In California and a couple of other states, they do have the power. Unfortunately, it's something else that we've been fighting, but public schools in California do require childhood vaccines. We want to really stop it and not require this unlawful medical experiment, because these really aren't even vaccines and you have the right to refuse. So that's where I would say people go. And it's an encyclopedia. I've done the work for you, and many people have joined. The information is there for free. I do have some classes that people can invest in if they want me to go with them, step by step, take them by the hand to go through the information. So that's what I've got.
Wonderful. Okay, so I wanted to, so I mentioned before we started recording, I was checking out your content and information this morning, and an hour before our interview, I see you live at this rally or at this event, and I'm thinking, Peggy, are you going to make it for the interview? And you are on a roll. There's lots going on, and I commend you for all your efforts, for all that you're putting forth right now. God bless you. If you're okay, I'm just going to play a little clip for our audience here. The internet looks like it's slow. Let's see if it starts. Okay, that's okay. We'll come back to that in a moment. What I did want to, well, maybe we can speak about it for now until it pops up. You spoke at the Orange County Board of Education this morning. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What was it that came up? What was it that you were speaking about? Who you were speaking to?
This was a group of concerned parents and their children. There were lots of kids today. It was awesome. And some of them had been taken out of school. Many of them are doing remote learning now because in California, the guidance from the Department of Education and the Department of Health is that the kids be in masks, 6 feet apart, behind the plexiglass. They can't play with other kids. They are very I mean, this is just the definition of tyranny. So parents and children and teachers were there today to rally together, to share information, to be educated about the laws that protect the rights of parents and the rights of children and the rights of those that work at the school. In California, and I know in every state, there is likely a law that prevents discrimination and it prohibits discrimination. In California, that law is called Education Code 220. And I wanted every parent and every child and every teacher to understand it. It's very simple, and it states this, that no one may be discriminated against in an educational setting. This applies to teachers, it applies to staff members, it applies to the parents who are there to pick up their kids and drop them off, and it applies to the children, it applies to anybody who works there, any guest speakers, anything. Anyone in an educational setting is protected by law from being discriminated against. You may not be discriminated against because of your disability, your medical condition, your religion. And I spoke mainly on the idea of your religious beliefs, because to me, that is something that, well, it's not to me. In California and in the United States, when you say that something is against your sincerely held religious belief, you don't need any proof other than your word. You don't need anything in writing. You don't need a doctor's note. You don't need anything notarized. My husband is a pastor. He does provide support and letters for those who want this, who would like to know what they can write in a letter, but it's not required. All you need to do is to say, this is my religious belief. And I also spoke about a case related to children that follow the Sikh faith. And in the Sikh faith, they wear turbans. That is a part of their religious expression, is wearing a turban. And there was a case that went to the Supreme Court of the United States against a school because they wanted the other kids, that they were afraid because they looked different than the other children. Well, obviously this is illegal. It's discrimination. It's blatant discrimination. And the parents went to the Supreme Court saying not only that did they want the Supreme Court to uphold their children's ability to wear a turban in class, further, they wanted the rest of the children and the school to be educated as to the religious views of these individuals, and it was upheld by the Supreme Court. So if the Supreme Court states that children have the right to wear a turban as an expression of their religious liberty, therefore, children have a right not to wear a turban and not to wear anything that goes against their religious beliefs. My religious beliefs prevent me, and my God-given conscience prevents me from wearing a mask. And so that's what I spoke about, was California Education Code 220. Further, if a child goes to school and the principal says, well, you can do learning at home, remote learning at home, that is not equal. That is not fair. That child has the legal right to a classroom education just like everyone else. They may not be discriminated against because of any protected characteristic. Imagine if they said no children in wheelchairs are allowed. Everyone in a wheelchair, those children must stay at home. Can you imagine if they said all Muslims must stay at home because of terrorism? It's outrageous. It's discrimination. Imagine if they said no blind children can come, no deaf children can come. It is no different. These laws exist to protect our rights, and I was encouraging the parents to go to school, to send a letter to the school board, or to their child's school, to the principal, stating, my children are coming to school tomorrow without a mask, as upheld by California Education Code 220. If you violate those rights, you personally are going to be sued for this violation.
Great.
It's sad that this come to this in the United States of America.
Yeah, for sure. So you're in California, we're in Canada, and I think watching you and what you've been putting out this past year, I think it has made it really clear to me that we individually have to become aware of our local laws and bylaws. And and the mandates that are being passed right now are not in fact laws. They're not, even if there's fines being given out for you not following the rules or the mandates, those tickets are not being held in court because it's not a law. It's not a legal binding law that they have out right now. So as far as governor, when you speak of governors, that would be the equivalent of a mayor in Canada. But I think I'm going to try to also find an individual to come on the show to speak of the Canadian rights as well. And I think that's really important that we do become aware of our legal rights at this time. And you've definitely brought that to the forefront very clearly. I wanted to ask you, with regards to, on your website, you speak of an alternative to public schools, which you call freedom learning. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
This is an idea that can help parents break free from the tyranny of the public schools. And freedom learning, I have the headline there, is it better than homeschooling? A lot of parents and kids are put off by this term homeschooling. In the United States, it can have something of a negative connotation in the government because they'll dismiss, oh, the homeschoolers, as if there's something strange that a parent wants to keep their child home while they're learning rather than send them to school. So freedom learning, it's not a new idea, but it's the phrase that I coined for this philosophy and methodology where the kids are really in charge of their learning. They take, they're the ones that are doing the discovery and the exploration and the experimentation, and kids learn like this naturally. We all learn like this naturally. We're learning right now, and we don't have a textbook, and we're not in school. Learning is a natural activity. It's a real life experience. And so freedom learning works whether you are a single parent, a divorced parent, a working parent, whether your kid loves to be in school. I was one of those kids that loved being in school. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. I have a free 2-hour seminar where I go in great detail about the philosophy of freedom learning. And what we offer at the Healthy American is, yes, you're free from the classroom, from computers, from Zoom, from the tests, from the textbooks, from the clock, from the worksheets, from homework. There's something better. And a quick example I would give is, let's say that there is a single parent who works and they're like, Peggy, I would love to keep my child home from school, but my child wants to be with other kids and I don't have the time to teach, and my kid is smarter than I am anyway, and I don't know how to teach him math. And what if my child falls behind? All of these objections are valid, and we have answers for every single one of these. Freedom learning does not have to be during the daytime. It can be in the evenings when you're home from work. It can be on the weekends. Your child is not going to fall behind. Your child is going to soar because they are going to be free from the limitations that are often imposed upon them in the public and private schools, where they are in a grade level according to their age. Well, kids don't necessarily learn according to their age. You are free from any bullying from other kids. There's no comparison. There's no test. You know your child better than any teacher could, and you don't have to worry because we guide you with different learning activities and curriculum ideas and going on adventures. So let's say you have a scenario where you're working and you want your child to be out of the school, public school, but you don't know what to do. Let's say you can get together with 4 other parents, or better yet, maybe a teacher who has left the public school, a retired teacher, maybe a senior citizen who is still active and involved. And you might have the kids one day a week, like on a Saturday, so you don't even have to take time off work. And then somebody else has the kids on Tuesday and someone else on Thursday. Maybe you even hire someone to come, not as a babysitter, but as a freedom learning specialist, and they're trained in this methodology. So let's say that your kids are with a freedom learning specialist, or with other families, or even in a freedom learning school where they are going to soar. If you go back to the one-room schoolhouse where you had kids of all ages, it is actually beneficial for them to be involved in learning and helping and sharing and discovering and growing. So I'm giving you a snapshot, but there's a 2-hour deep dive, and I give some examples of activities that are fun, that are suitable for all ages, that are driven literally by your child. And you don't have to do much more than enjoy the interaction, encourage them, and they not only don't fall behind, they soar. And there are so many examples of parents that have had their kids in this non-traditional, this alternative way of education, and their kids are doctors and professionals and accountants, and they own their own businesses, so the kids don't fall behind. These are even the children or the students that colleges want, because they know that they are self-directed learners and they're going to be taking charge of their learning. So it is a win-win-win.
Awesome. There's been what I've noticed, especially this past year, and especially in the past few months, when I think as parents, especially moms, are getting fed up with the mass, with the deterioration of the emotional well-being of their children. They're seeing it very clearly. It's really heartbreaking. But I think the beautiful thing that we're seeing come out of this, that I've noticed very clearly, is that moms are stepping up and saying, we're done. We're not doing this anymore. I'm not masking my child anymore. And what's coming out of this are these wonderful, innovative ideas of how else can we do this? How else can we raise our children, whether it's the family alone or getting together with a community and figuring out, community pods of being able to do this sort of thing as well, so that there's the social interaction. But I really feel like we're going to start to see a blossoming of really wonderful ideas through this time of great challenge and strife, because we're being pushed to the point that we can no longer accept what we're being forced with.
Absolutely. I share your optimism. I believe there are better days ahead. I don't like the old normal. It didn't work. I certainly don't like the new normal. So I call it better than normal. And it's a perfect opportunity. And I share your enthusiasm for the parents finding another way. And it doesn't even have to look like freedom learning. You're going to figure out what works for you. And it's trial and error. And don't worry if you feel like, oh, you're falling behind, or think of it as an adventure, even with your kids. And you could present it that way. Let's try this for 3 months. Let's see how it goes. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I really want to encourage parents to get plugged in. In the program that I'm doing, we have a forum where parents can be connected. Even if they are in different geographic areas, they can share ideas for how they find their groups. You don't have to go it alone. And I'm really thrilled, because my personal belief is that these future generations are the future. And the reason we're in the situation that we are right now is because somebody dropped the ball along the way, or we weren't watching, or we weren't awake. And how could it be that so many people were so easily swayed and bamboozled with what's going on? We want to make sure that the children of the future are going to be critical thinkers, that they are going to observe, that they're going to question, that they're going to be innovative and self-assured and self-sufficient, so that they won't lean on the government for their schooling, for their handouts, or for whatever else it may be. We need to create our own type of alternative societies that are not dependent on these government structures.
Wonderful. Awesome. Peggy, I wanted to be respectful of your time. I wanted to ask you one more thing. You've been encouraging folks to not comply, because you've recognized yourself that complacency will actually just push us deeper into through the dark agenda that's currently being played out. So tell us your strategy. Are you then for resistance? I mean, I've been following your work, but I just wanted you to break it down a little bit as far as what you're recommending people do. So if it's not complacency, if it's not going with the rules, then what is it that you're recommending?
There are a couple of things that you can do. And the easiest it's the least confrontational. Some people might not like this idea and think it is complying, but I simply find other ways. So I don't go to a store that requires a mask. I simply don't do it. I don't want to try to fight with the tyrants to beg them to take my money. I'm all about education. So I would rather call in advance. For example, when all this hogwash, started, and the dentist's office started to open up, I called my dentist in advance and I said, "What are your requirements?" And they said, "Oh no, we're not doing anything. We're normal, just the masks and the temperature." Well, that's not normal. They thought it was normal. So I said, "I'll take my temperature at home and I'll stay home if I'm sick, and I don't wear a mask. So can you see me as the first patient or the last patient? I'll wait outside. You can call me when the waiting room is clear and I'll just sneak right in." So I've never worn a mask. And I've gone to the veterinary vet's office. I've gone to the eye doctor. I've gone to the dentist. I've gone shopping. I've gotten my car fixed. There are a couple of places that are very, like I am suing the city where I live because they are violating my religious liberty. They still want me to put on a mask outdoors, to walk through a gate, to go to a swimming pool, an outdoor swimming pool. And and I don't even care if it's an indoor swimming pool. They're violating my religious rights. And I'm suing them for that. It's been a year of back and forth of letters and all of that. And at a certain point, there needs to be legal action taken. I don't even know if the legal action will work, but it doesn't matter. What matters is I'm taking the action. So find an action that works for you. Number one, I have 3 simple things. And number 1 is connection. Find where you can get connected with others. Because of social media, it's pretty easy to find a group in your area. I would recommend if you go somewhere in person, to a board meeting, to a city hall meeting. I don't even know if they're meeting in person where you are, but that is a great place. You can go to a park if you're a parent. You can see kids and who has kids and meet up. Where can you find people? You don't have to go it alone. Number 2 is the education. Learn about the laws in your country, in your state, in your city, in your province, in your kid's school. Learn about the laws because every country in the world has laws that protect against discrimination. You need to be educated on that. And number 3 is to take action. I'm not the person who recommends you go in with 20 people into a store and make a big scene. Some people have done that. I applaud all different approaches. That's great. My approach is to go one by one and to call in advance and to state what is your accommodation by law that you're required to do by law. If that doesn't work, you might find somebody else to shop for you. If they don't mind wearing a mask, you might get your groceries delivered, or you find the places where you can go. I'm going to be interviewing somebody who started their own farmer's market. And I love that idea because even in California, even though the law states you don't wear, or the guidance states you don't have to wear a mask outside, the farmers markets want you to wear a mask. It's completely illegal. So we've been fighting them. We are seeing good results. I was at the farmers market. I've never worn a mask. I never will. Many of the vendors had the masks off because of the work that we're doing. Even then, if you want to, you can fight, but why not create? So create your own farmers market, right? Create your own schools, create your own grocery store. I know people that are creating their own Uber because Uber requires I call it the scam. So they're doing their own rideshare service. So we're creative, we're innovative. We've got to use our God-given talents and never relent and think about taking action in a way that works for you. It might be sharing this video. It might be reading about the laws. It might be just encouraging someone who is out there fighting. So there's always a role for you to play. And that's why I say all hands on deck.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Yeah. And you know what? We have been, I have been for the past probably 4 to 5 months compiling a list of this growing list of places we can go to without wearing a mask. So we feel like it's really important the way in which we actually invest our money, direct our energy. So that's been a really important one. I mean, we can easily put on a mask and go to a grocery store, but I feel like if you're able to direct your energy in a mindful way, you're essentially supporting those businesses and those livelihoods that are standing for truth and freedom. And we should all stand behind those businesses that are putting themselves in those positions.
That's perfect. I agree with you 100%.
Wonderful. And as far as, I love the pointers that you gave, so I will actually break these down and write them at the bottom of this video as well. And if anyone is watching this, and if you guys want to share this, you're more than welcome to take those pointers and copy and paste it on, along with the video as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Peggy. Can you tell us one more time where people can find you, aside from the healthyamerican.org website? What about the social media handles?
Yes, you know, I've been taken off of Instagram a couple of times. I'm just getting back up and running. So it's the Healthy American Peggy Hall, and love to see you there. I'm very active on Facebook and also YouTube. Of course, those channels are banned from time to time. So I've got a backup channel, which is Living Swell with Peggy Hall, and then the Healthy American Peggy Hall on YouTube. I'm on all social media under that name: Rumble, BitChute, Telegram, Brighteon, brand new tube, Odyssey. Just look for the Healthy American Peggy Hall. And I do have a private video platform called peggyhall.tv. That is the one place where I can speak freely. And I would love to also add this video there, because this interview, this is where people come, where they're going to get the truth that is not, that is, I say, truth that is too hot for the other platforms to handle. So that is a paid, it is like a prescription. It's a prescription for your freedom. And it's about 15 cents a day, a dime and a nickel. And that helps me keep that platform running. It is censorship free, ad free, exclusive. I would love to see you there, but I'm on all of the social media as long as this censorship, you know, holds off. To me, that's the end game of the evildoers, not only controlling our bodies, but controlling our speech so that we will not be able to support each other. Get connected in person, everybody. Share the phone numbers, get together. What you saw earlier today with the group of people is there were probably a couple hundred people. Even though a video might get 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 views, the 200 people in person, even 20 people in person, in my view, has more of an impact, because you can exchange numbers, you can get together. I had two dads meet each other. They're going to go together to their kids' school to help support each other. They can never take the human connection away, friends. That's where our strength is. So that would be my my parting words of wisdom.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Peggy Hall. God bless you. We'll speak to you soon.
You too. Thank you so much.